Hi guys, and welcome back to Father Fridays. So this is where we talk about real issues that fathers are dealing with. Now I know you're used to my little musical intro. I told you I'm trying to figure it out. But I thought I'd just keep it short and sweet and to the point. And let's get into it. So today we're going to talk about something that doesn't get a lot of attention, and that would be the financial burden or the financial struggles that fathers are going through. Let's face it, with child support and alimony and all types of expenses, that can bear a financial burden and bring a lot of financial pressure to you guys. Have you ever felt like you were drowning financially, just trying to be a good father? So let's run down the list of some of the things that you fathers are having to be responsible for. Child support, alimony, legal fees, trying to maintain your own space. If some of you have moved on, you are now supporting a new household. And even if you haven't moved on, you're living in a new household and this is now your new household. Court costs, filing fees, transportation, the list goes on and on. That's a lot of pressure. My late husband was juggling the same. He had a new household to support, and he had to maintain alimony and child support and any other expenses, especially transportation, to go back and forth just to see his daughter. He was able to go back to the court and remove the alimony charge because of the stipulation that they had in their divorce decree. But there were still other expenses that needed to be paid, as well as not just paying child support, but maintaining this household that he was now living in and any extra expenses. Let me explain to you what happened later. Prior to my husband's death, Mom was upset because my husband started to realize that he had rights and he started to exercise his rights through the legal system. Things that had been put off to the back burner, like extra time with his child legally, things like taxes, which we'll get into, and other things were now made an issue by my husband. When I tell you he was a fascinating dad, he was fascinating. He went above and beyond. He didn't wait for child support. He actually spent more money and more time and more energy with his daughter than any other dad that I can even think of right now. In other words, he didn't let the frustration deter him from spending time with his daughter. He just took steps to make sure that everything that he was doing was being done legally so that there were no problems in the future. I'll share more about him and his story, but let's get into this whole financial pressure situation. So in New Jersey, the court calculates child support based on income and guidelines, of course. But sometimes real life doesn't match the formula that they use. So in other words, the court doesn't always see like your full expenses and your debts and your emotional stress and things like that. Some of you have a second household and some of you are struggling day to day just to survive. Some of you dads are feeling like, I'm doing everything right, but everything just keeps falling apart. So let me tell you some of the common mistakes that you dads make. And I have my list, so I'm reading from my list. So trying to keep up with unrealistic payments without asking for modification. So let me give you a quick example. Father loses overtime or switches jobs, but you keep paying the same high child support just to avoid conflict. Why? Now you can't pay your rent, can't pay your bills, can't do none of that stuff. Why? File to adjust your income. Another scenario. Instead of going to court to fix the amount, you say, I'll figure it out, mucho macho. I'll figure it out. Months go by and nothing changes, and now the problem is a lot bigger than it needed to be. Okay? If you see me looking over here, I'm looking at my notes. Number 3, you get behind and now you're avoiding the court. How nice. So this is a situation where maybe you're already paying like child support, or you're paying some sort of alimony, and maybe they're not taking it out automatically, but you have to actually go to some office, probation or whatever, and pay it, and then you don't show up or you don't pay. Don't do that. Don't do that. Because now the court thinks you're not taking the situation seriously. And by the time you have a chance to explain that your situation has changed, they don't really care. Okay, what about this one? You get upset after an argument, right? And then you decide to send extra money because maybe you guys were arguing about, you're supposed to be paying for summer camp, and I don't understand why you're not paying. And so you go ahead and you send extra money. Why? The next month, you can't afford your own light bill because you done sent that extra money. How's that gonna work? Stop making emotional financial decisions, especially here, because it's gonna hurt you. Oh my gosh, you overextend yourself, right? Just to prove you're a good dad. My husband was notorious for this, and it put a lot of stress on him. Buying sneakers and games and buying food that you can't afford and going places that you really can't afford and putting all that stuff on your credit card and putting yourself in debt. Why are you doing that? Keep your documentation, number 6, okay? You losing your job, your income change, whatever the situation is, keep the paperwork so that when you go to court, you have something to show that, okay? And I don't mean a handwritten letter by you saying, yes, I lost my job. No, you have to get that documentation from the place, okay? Keep paperwork. You're not sure how to keep it? Get a folder, put it in a drawer or something. Get a file cabinet. That was one of the first piece of furniture that I bought in my first apartment. I learned that from my mama. A lot of you are just not using the tools that you could be using, and that's why you're failing. If you don't use these tools properly, then the system works against you. And then of course, it's gonna feel like everyone is against you. Listen, suffering in silence, it doesn't fix any situation. It just makes it worse. I know a lot of you are trying to keep your situation to yourself, maybe not sharing with coworkers or friends or whomever. This is the time maybe to pull closer to your family and ask friends to help you in this situation, to help you get through this situation, because they may have the very resources that you need, and closed mouth don't get fed, right? So in wrapping things up, just remember, if you have any type of change in your lifestyle, your finances, whatever it is, file a modification. File a motion to make these changes so that you can come into court and tell the court what's happening so that they can make the proper adjustments for you. It does not make you a bad father if you have to adjust something just so that you can survive and be able to take care of your child on your own. So stop feeling guilty, please. Financial pressure doesn't just hit your wallet, it hits your mind, okay? So you also have to start taking care of yourself mentally. And you're keeping all this stuff in, the stress, the anxiety, it turns into depression, and you're feeling some kind of way. You're not failing, okay? You're just tired, you're exhausted, in fact. This is not the time to shut down or to isolate, and it's certainly not the time to stop asking for help. That in itself is dangerous for you and for your children. As usual, I'm going to put some links down into the description so that you can, if you're in need of any type of mental health services, you'll have that. I'll post all the resources that I have in the description, and take advantage of them. Financial pressure does not mean failure. It just means that you're carrying a heavier load. And dads, just like anybody else, you deserve the support and a path that helps you to move forward and not backward. As usual, you're not a visitor. You're a father. I'm not here to give you legal advice. Remember, I'm only here to tell you my own experiences. Seek out your own professional legal team, all right? Always, always, always. Don't take my word for it. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.